Hi, everybody. I'm Kimberly Carney, founder and CEO of Fashwire, and this is Seabree Spring. She's my head of business development. Together with our development partner, we have built this incredible platform for the fashion and beauty communities. Seabree, would you like to say a few words?
I'm so excited to be here. It's pretty crazy having watched the app grow for the last couple of years, and today I have the honor and privilege of, I guess we'll call it an interview, but really going through the journey of how we created this app and all the things to come. So if you're ready, I'm ready to jump right in.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, do you want to, before we get into the deep questions, do you want to just let everybody know what Fashwire is for those who maybe haven't heard of it yet?
Yes, so we have two mobile apps, Fashwire and Glasswire. They are both two-sided marketplace connecting brands directly to consumers through data-driven technology.
Perfect.
And then we'll be able to explain it more as we go through today.
Exactly. Simple and easy. Love it. So then tell us how did this idea of the Fashwire mobile app come to be? Tell us how it started.
So I have a background in corporate tech, and I opened up a store in 2006. And as the show and trade shows navigated forward, I saw that digital adoption was becoming a key factor in driving buying decisions forward. And I just knew retail would not survive without adapting to tech. So target marketing and behavior data, which is made popular by the tech giants like Facebook, they were being utilized by companies to help project sales, which became a key factor in buying inventory prior to this. And all the buying decisions were done based on the previous season's tech and previous season store numbers. So with my combined passion for tech and fashion, connecting those two worlds became the catalyst for launching Fashwire. I came up with the initial concept back in 2009, I believe. In 2014, it started to come to fruition, and 2018, we launched with the Google partnership that allowed us to reach a widespread audience. So it's a pretty exciting journey.
What a story. And I know we're going to get into it all the way. I know I had the pleasure of coming on in 2018, and to see that we're already in the middle of 2021 is just unbelievable. So with that incredible story, I'm sure you faced 1,000,001 challenges. So what challenges did you face, and how did you overcome them?
At the time, not a lot of people were doing this. There were not too many people interested in women-led, tech-driven fashion businesses. And I was stereotyped as a boutique owner, but having a background in tech, not a lot of people knew that. So walking into these male-dominated meetings to sell the platform just wasn't easy, because they really didn't understand how the Fashwire platform would work. I could see instantly that the judgments were being made, and I had to really figure out how to do things with little or no money, and most of that meant doing things myself. Then I tapped into my tech network of men and women, and they got really excited about it, and that strategy led me to helpful feedback from them, and then investments came, and we learned to capitalize on all of our expertise together, and then I built up a talented team, which started with you, Seabree.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, actually, wait. Let me correct that. It started with my initial advisory board, then my second development partner, and then Seabree came on board. So
of course, there were many people before I came that are still around, which is exciting, and we've built the team substantially since. And I think, to be honest, I know you had all those challenges being a woman, a female founder, a female entrepreneur in general, but the ample amounts of press, especially recently, but even over 2020 and in the last couple of years, just how innovative you are, how disruptive you are. I think that speaks a lot to itself. So congratulations for that. But speaking of investment, right? I mean, building an app it's expensive, but having a business in general. So how are you able to raise the funds that you did? How did you do that? I'm sure it was tough.
Well, I tapped into that network of tech industry people that I had worked with in the past. And once we had a prototype with our original developer, I was able to show the prototype. And most people tend to be visual. And once they were able to see that, then the investments started coming in. So we did an initial, I guess what you'd call a friends and family seed round, but I kept it really more strategic with a tech network and industry network that could really help me be strategic in my vision, and then had expertise that I didn't have to help me grow the business. And so that initial round came in, and then after a year, we realized the prototype that we had really was not going to resonate with consumers, and we had to start over. And then I reached out to those initial investors, and they all jumped back in as they understood my reasoning for the consumer adoption piece. So they were able to get behind, what we had learned from all the brand partners that some of them we work with today. They gave us that initial feedback. It's very rare that you get to go to shows and do your own market research directly from the brands that you want to advocate.
Absolutely. I will touch on that a little bit later. I wanted to ask you about early adopters. I mean, they all say that that's key to an app's success. So how did you find them? How did they attribute to the success of the Fashwire app?
Well, it goes back to what I just said. We started hitting the shows, and our early adopters were the fashion community at the fashion trade shows. We'd take a team prior to you coming on, Seabree. We would take a team and we would walk around the floor. And I'm from the .com era, so we would cold walk the floor, so to speak. And that they really started downloading the app once they saw the new app. It was great. And our developer, Human Hamza, he actually came to the show with us, and Project gave us our first initial booth. That we were one of the first tech booths at Project. So we were able to have a landing place to show, which gave us, I think, the credibility that we were going forward. And when you create that buzz at the fashion and tech shows, and then build up the social side of it, then you get these early adopters that are the key people in driving you forward, because that initial feedback, it's just priceless. You can't put a dollar amount on what that does for not only your launch, but your development as you move forward.
100%. It's so funny that you mentioned the shows, because ultimately that's how you and I met, working, for brands at the shows, and we would connect, and hearing all of the new things or ideas that you had about this app. It was always this app, and here we are. It's pretty incredible. And of course, the buzz that you mentioned from Project, all the things we have in the pipe right now, it's pretty incredible, like where you started and where it's going. So I do want to touch on data. Data's king, we all know, and it's vital to, I would believe, probably any app success, but absolutely Fashwire and Glosswire, it's been the strength. So how does that translate to personalization from brand to consumer?
Well, I mean, we all know personalization is all about getting the right product to the consumer. Our technology empowers consumers to give brands that direct feedback on what they like, and also give brands data based on consumer behavior. This information in turn allows the brands to tailor their products to consumers' needs and to personalize their offerings. And that's just the beginning. We see, believe with Fashwire and Glosswire, we see where personalization is going to become increasingly important for all brands to differentiate. And with Fashwire and Glosswire, they have a technology platform that they can rely on.
I couldn't agree more. And it sounds now like we kind of you've definitely figured it out so far. But if you had to go back, like if you're looking back, what would you have done differently when you started out?
Oh gosh, everything. No. I would have, as a tech company, as my vision was always to get fashion recognized in tech. And that was one of the hardest challenges I had. And as a tech company, I would have chosen a software development team more carefully. I lost over a year and a lot of money. But I learned a really important lesson is that you need to have your resources, your timelines, and your control. Because if your development partner has a different vision, you're not aligned. And if you're not aligned with your development partner, it won't work. That's the number one person. That's like the quarterback of your company.
I know that there's a little bit more to that, and I very briefly touched on it earlier with starting over, and I can already imagine what a nightmare that was. Do you want to touch on that a little bit? Why did you have to start over? Is that a fear we should have as creating an app?
Although we had to start over, like I said earlier, we had a prototype that really resonated with the designers, and I think that everything happens for a reason. And we may have lost a lot of time and money, but we would have lost far more had we not got that initial feedback. So in some ways, you have to look at the silver lining. So that development team, they did what they could with the tools that they had, and then we had to, I just had to trust my instincts, and I just knew we needed something different. And no, I don't think you ever have to fear starting over, because as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to start over. As a company, you always have to pivot. Some things work, some things don't. It's not all rainbows and unicorns, but it can be.
Well said. Point taken. That's absolutely true. Well, so with that being said, then, what advice could you give, or would you give, to other entrepreneurs that want to create an app?
I think, I think keep your vision clear at all times, and don't be afraid. It's like I just said, don't be afraid of failure. You have to be able to pivot. If something's not working, it's okay. And I learned early on that it's okay to go to your investors or your advisors and say, okay, this didn't work. What do we do? And I think that's what my advisory board, and I think as you guys as a team like about me, is I don't make decisions in a vacuum. I make things, very, like, I consult. I know my expertise and I know what I'm good at, but don't be afraid to bring people that are smarter than you, or more educated, or more experienced in their different fields, because that is what's helped me, because I brought on people that have this expert industry executives that, guide me and help me, and I learn every day. And, you just have to be able to, trust your instincts, keep your vision clear, and don't be afraid to admit when it's not working. And because that's the only way that you can build on that and turn it around. And you can always pivot, and you can always turn it around. We've had a few pivots in our journey up until this point, but every pivot has made us more successful going forward.
100%. And I think that's one of the things I admire about you most, both in the friendship that I think we had, it just from the industry, but also working with you, keeping these people that you can constantly learn from and bring so much to the table, I think is so invaluable. And I personally learned so much from you, and so much from the other people who are involved with the apps. And I know that will continue to grow. And I think I couldn't agree more. That's so important. And I guess, speaking on relationships in general, how important is building and maintaining client relationships for your mobile app? How would you say that?
Well, I you're the head of, you've built our, a little background on Seabree really quickly. When we went to the show, we were meeting these designers, but it wasn't sticking. Once we got Seabree on, she, coming from the industry and being in wholesale for several years and having done something similar for retails in Europe, she really understood how to make the appointments and close the designers and get them excited about being on the app and sign them up. And that was, Seabree was pivotal. Can't even say the word. Seabree was really important, a really important part of building those brand relationships, and we were lucky to have her. But they are vital to our success. Their collections and their products drive consumer adoption, and consumers want to meet the brands. Consumers will go wherever the brands are, and we offer this opportunity on a contemporary and global scale on both of our mobile apps.
100%. I agree with you all across the board there. Thank you for those kind words. That was very sweet. It's been a journey, that's for sure. So I could assume, of course, that so many people were impacted by the pandemic, right? So what would you say was the most significant impact that COVID had on your business overall?
Well, as we all know, COVID disrupted the entire wholesale business, with department stores canceling orders and traditional retail not being available. For us, however, it actually accelerated adoption. We were ahead of the curve before the pandemic and uniquely positioned to give brands a digital platform to showcase their collections. And they were able to interact digitally and globally with the consumers. With the shift in consumer behavior right now, and the consumer requiring a more immersive shopping experience, our mobile apps fit that needed role for product curation by blending personalization and human facilitation.
Well, speaking of COVID and the pandemic, I mean, we were definitely ahead of the curve. We were able to bring so much to our brands who hadn't digitized yet. But I think one of my personal favorite things that you introduced was during the pandemic was the $1 a download initiative. And we've worked with so many amazing organizations. Can you touch on that a little bit? I think philanthropy is so important to consider, but also how that impacted the growth of the apps.
I became part of a nonprofit, Retailers United, and right before that, I had come up with this idea of Fast Give, and it would be donate $1 for every download of the mobile app to philanthropic cause. And Retailers United was our first one, and it was super exciting at the time because we were able to, fund designers, and we were able to help other entrepreneurs, which to me is, I feel really proud of that. But as we've moved forward past that, we now select a different charity every month on both the platforms, and we give $1 download. And that's not only driven consumer adoption, but it's given us new consumers and ones that may not have found us had we not done that, because getting behind a cause is so important to, I think, all of us right now, and we all have our favorite causes. But for Fashwire as a startup to be able to do that and to use our global designer base and leverage that for a greater cause is so I think profound and important to everybody on the Fashwire team. Everyone, all of us, I commend all of you guys, because it's the one thing that makes me really proud of the team that I built is not only your guys' incredible work ethic, but the getting behind philanthropic causes. And when you can use a mobile app to do that, even better.
I love it. And I know that, honestly, I think it's so vital right now that companies stand behind something and believe in something. And I know that consumers in general value that. They want brands and they want to support companies who have those values. So I love that we get to participate in that. Probably my favorite part of everything. So I guess to wrap this whole journey up, what is it that you see for the future of Fashwire?
Well, I mean, I think we're all going to see further changes in the fashion landscape, especially with those brands and retailers doing best to maintain a strong identity and a good understanding of who their customers are. Consumer behavior, like I said earlier, is shifting daily. And even we're seeing in the platform, we don't know what they're buying from one day to the next. And I believe our apps and data analytics solution will change the face of fashion retail by putting the customer at the heart of all decisions. And our biggest priority is to continue to make sure our apps work really well for our user base by enhancing our algorithms to get the best personalized recommendations for each individual. We are seeing incredible growth with both Fashwire and Glosswire in offering this technology platform that deeply connects consumers and brands. And I think all of that combined really speaks to who we are as a brand advocate and helping these brands get discovered and in turn promoting sales. And we will continue to add brands on both Fashwire and Glosswire, as well as localization in our apps to support the different countries coming up. And then I think our next steps is really tapping into the luxury industry and seeing where the luxury industry takes us.
I can't wait for that. And we have so many exciting things coming down the pike. I did want to mention something. I'm just thinking back on how much the app's grown. I mean, when I first started, you had a couple handfuls of incredible brands. I know that you had already a relationship with, and they saw your vision. They kind of gave you the chance to move forward and make this happen. And looking back a couple of years now, to see almost 400 brands from over, 40 countries or something like that on the app, and our beauty app growing to where just over 100 brands in a short period of time. And so luxury being the next thing, I can't wait. And I just wanted to say, it's been an amazing journey, such an inspiration to work with you and watch you stick to your guns on everything. And I know you gave that advice earlier, but even when other people, including myself on the team, saw things going one way, I love that no matter what, you have a vision, you stick to it. There's right or wrong, you're in it, and you like you said, pivot. You got to pivot and make it happen. And I love that attitude, that mentality, that work ethic. And I think that's why our team has built into what it is today. So thank you for taking me along for the journey. Literally, physically and today. It's been a ride, and it's been great.
Well, to speak on that, one of my investors once said to me, he said, every time that you will send out an email update or you do something and I'm not really sure that I agree with you, and every single time you prove me wrong. He's like, I've learned that your instincts are pretty good. And he said, and every time you prove me wrong. And I think that, I'm definitely, like, take beauty, for instance, I was like, no way. And, and Syra and Samantha were like, we're doing this.
Yeah.
and it was the timing was right, and they were right. And I did. I know when, okay, I'm going to trust this process, and I know what I can provide in this, and I know I can learn the beauty industry. And now I feel like I've got a pulse on all of it, and I'm so glad we did that. And that's what's so exciting about Fash Luxe, because we've already proven ourselves in the contemporary market. And I think what we could do for luxury, especially right now, because as we come out of this pandemic, and we're very much still in it, we're going to see so much change. And we don't really, I think we all learned in 2020, we don't know what tomorrow is. All we know is we got to stay focused right now, and we've got to keep moving forward, and there's no time to stop. And when you've got mobile apps out there, they're live, they're public. You have to continually, upgrade and watch the data and see where your consumers are leaving, see where they're staying, see what resonates with them. And having that knowledge, and what I see is so powerful, and really being that business intelligence for the fashion and beauty industries is where we strive to be over the next year. And we really are seeing the data more powerful than ever right now as we come out of this pandemic and go forward.
I do want to add on to what you had said a little earlier that I love is, even though you stick to your guns, and I think that's important for any business owner, entrepreneur, somebody creating something, you also keep people around you that you trust. And it goes back to where they have the areas of expertise in their fields and stuff like that. But you always consider, you're open-minded to ideas, whether or not you move forward with them, you're always open to that. And I think it's so important, because some people will just close off their open-mindedness or opportunities. And so you and I have our fashion background, so we feel like we know what we're doing there, and other teammates come in and they have this expertise in beauty, and we're like, sure. And here we are, like you said, like timing couldn't have been better, and people are, the brands are loving it, and we're already on to the next idea, and it just keeps coming. So I guess my point being is, keep those opportunities open, keep your mind open as a leader. I think makes all the difference. So
I think so too. And I think, to go back to our team, having the right team is another piece of advice I would give, because our team is incredible, and you're not always going to get it right. And Seabury and I've learned, but the team we have today is really powerful, and I couldn't be more proud of who I get to work with every day, and a team that helps take like Seabury and Prachi and Syra and Samantha and Ian. Everybody brings this, different mindset, I guess, to our business. And I love, and every week we stay connected, we get on team calls, and it's really great to really understand what everybody's working on. And it keeps everybody on the pulse of what's going on in the business. It's full transparency with all of us. And I think that's super important too, is they know what I'm doing, I know what they're doing, and everybody else knows what we're all doing. That way we can help each other. We're in a startup, and all of us have worn many, many hats, and it has, and I have a team that will put on a different hat if I need them to. And that's what's really great for Fashwire and Glosswire, is to have, this incredible group of women and men, and our advisory board, all of my entire advisory board. They're really, they're really focused, and they are passionate about what we're doing too. And they really bring a lot to the table to help every single one of us do our jobs right.
Well, speaking of the transparency in the team, it's pretty crazy when you think about it, that, like, I know you're in beautiful Hawaii right now, but you're based in Seattle. I'm based in Florida. We have team members in LA and Jersey and Connecticut and abroad in different countries. It's pretty amazing how technology can connect all of us and make something happen together all over the world. That blows my mind every single day. So I definitely think others should realize, like, open your circle, because there's a lot of talent all out there to make your vision come to life.
Absolutely. And we just hired Tatiana, our head of business development of Europe. She's over in Europe. And we have Sarah and Needy and from India and Egypt. And it's really great because while we're sleeping, they're working. And it's great to have this powerful international team as well.
Exactly. Well, I think that's all the time that we have today. Like I said, it was amazing to be here for this journey. Thank you for allowing me to ask you all these insightful questions, and hopefully.
And thank you for being on this journey with me.
Of course.
So. Great. Well, thanks so much, both of you. You've brought great energy to the session, and yeah, I'm sure it's really useful for anyone in sort of launch mode and startup mode. And they can sort of get a good insight into your journey. And yeah, really great conversation. So I hope we can continue that future event. And yeah, I guess anyone can check out Fashwire and Glosswire apps in the App Store or the Android store. And yeah, we look forward to continuing to follow you on your journey.
Thank you so much for having us today. It really was a pleasure.
Great.
Thank you.